Hey, I'm Veronica, and I'm happy to be with you today. Today we're going to be talking about inspired action, and I'm going to prove to you what inspired action is and how to make it work in your life. So I'm going to share a story. This is a story from my past, one of my most favorite memories of a moment of inspired action in my own life. So this was in a time in my life when I actually did not know about deliberate creating. I did not know anything about the law of attraction. I had no idea. But I think even before we learn about these types of things, on an intuitive sense, some of us are already kind of doing these things on our own, even though we're not realizing we are. So almost 20 years ago, my mother actually passed away. And to sort of deal with the grief of that, I actually decided to follow a band. I followed the Goo Goo Dolls. And I went to nearly every single concert on their particular tour. And I had this belief at the time that I would always get front row. That it was just a given, that no matter what, I just deserved front row. I don't know where this belief system came from, but I think I had gotten a front row ticket, and I was like, wow, this is really amazing, and this is really making me feel good, and wow, the music is so much closer. This is so exciting. Now, if you know anything about concerts, it's actually really difficult to get a front row ticket. A lot of times scalpers will, in fact, buy them. They will sell them on like eBay and like StubHub for like $500. At that time, it was probably about $500. I think it's like into the thousands now. In any case, it's not that easy. And I wanted to go to every single show I possibly could. Now, I was in my early 20s. I was sort of adventurous at the time. I was going through sort of a troubled time in my life. I needed a form of escapism. I was going to go to every single concert I possibly could. So there was a concert in Tunica, Mississippi. I did not have a ticket for it, but I just kept saying, I'm a VIP, I get front row every single time. And I would just say this, and I just sort of believed it as truth for myself. I was living in Florida at the time. I decided to drive to Tunica, Mississippi to go to the concert. I did not have a ticket, but I just believed that my ticket would just somehow show up. I drove, and I had to drive extra early, the distance from Florida to Mississippi. I had never heard of the town of Tunica before. In fact, many of you probably haven't. It's such an obscure town unless you're familiar with the geography of Mississippi. So basically, at this time, there weren't smartphones. There wasn't like Google Maps. You had to just look it up in a Rand McNally map. So I looked at my map and I looked for Tunica and it wasn't listed. So I remember hearing about the show that it was at a casino. So I got it in my head that, well, it must be near Biloxi because that's where all the gambling is in Mississippi. At least that's what I thought. Now, again, if you know Mississippi, you're sort of laughing at me right now, knowing that my assumption was very incorrect. In any case, I'm all excited for the show. You know, I'm a VIP. I get front row. This is all that's going through my mind. I drive to Biloxi. And when I get to Biloxi, I can't find Tunica. Can't find it. So I said, well, maybe I will call the hotel and they will give me directions. I remember I stopped at like a Kentucky Fried Chicken or something like that. And I remember I had a cell phone, but it was one of those archaic cell phones. It was huge. And I remember calling and they said, well, where are you at? And I said, Biloxi. They said, we're outside of Memphis. So you know where Biloxi is? Biloxi is on the ocean. Memphis is on the entire other side of Mississippi. Like in the length of Mississippi, it was like completely in the other direction. And I said, oh my God. And I calculated the time that it would take me to drive. It was morning at the time, so I'd left in plenty of time. But it was morning, and the show was in the evening, and it would take me about 8 hours to drive there, and I calculated the time, and because of the time change, I was going from Eastern time zone to Central time zone, because of the time change, it actually gave me an extra hour that I needed to make it to the show if I left at that exact moment, if I drove completely straight through. So being determined, being unwilling to give up, I said to myself, well, I'm just going to drive there, and my ticket's just going to be there. Front row ticket, I'm a VIP. Now, at this time, like, I didn't know if this show was sold out. You know, you couldn't check on the internet, nothing like that. I'm just driving there. This is kind of, you know, it's very trusting when I look back at it now. Again, this is one of my most favorite memories. Because again, I had no idea what I was doing, but I was taking inspired action the entire time without even realizing it. So I get in my car and I drove straight through, and I made it like within 10 minutes of the show starting. Again, I don't have a ticket. I go up to the box office, and I still have it in my head. I always get front row. And he tells me, this very nice gentleman, he says, "Well, you're in luck." And I said, "I am?" He said, "You got here at just the right time. Right before the show, we release our front row tickets that haven't been claimed. Whoever this ticket was supposed to go to didn't show up, and I'm happy to sell it to you for face value." Now, this was front row, dead center, the best ticket in the entire house that he was selling to me for it was like $25, face value, something insane like that. Now, of course, at this moment, my mind is blown. I'm elated. That's my ticket. I knew it was going to happen. And whoever this other VIP was didn't actually show up. They left me my ticket. So, of course, I buy it eagerly. I have a great, amazing time. One of the best memories. Now, what I love about this story is, had I known where Tunica was geographically and driven to the right place the first time, I would not have arrived at that exact moment, exactly when they were releasing that ticket. I didn't have a ticket. Had I arrived at the time that I should have arrived, had I done some research in advance, I would have gotten some other ticket. That one wouldn't have been mine. I had to be there at that exact moment. So yes, you know what? The drive there, I wish it could have been easier. Sometimes the road to manifesting is a little bumpy. So I had to drive a little bit out of my ways. 8 hours. It's slightly exhausting. But when you're in your early 20s, you don't really care. You just have so much energy that you're just doesn't matter. I'll sleep whenever I sleep. You just don't care. And I just love it so much, and it gives me chills just to think about it, because I arrived at the exact perfect moment that I needed to, and I was taking inspired action the entire time. Now, my point about inspired action is you are always taking it. It comes from whatever you are currently aligned with and believe to be truth in your life. My truth at the time was that I was a VIP. I get a front row ticket every single time. That was my truth. That was basically the story that was running through my head. That's what I believed myself to be. There wasn't a thought that said, "Oh God, what if I don't get a ticket? Oh God, what if I drive there and it's completely sold out?" I didn't bawl my eyes out when I found that I was in the completely wrong side of Mississippi. I was on the completely other end. I had to drive another 8 hours. I didn't sit there sobbing and give up and go home. I just drove there. I just kept going. I kept my determination. I kept the end result in mind, which was, I get front row. I'm going to be there. It's going to be amazing. This is where I'm meant to be. This is where I'm supposed to be. That was my belief. And the universe sent me exactly on the route, which I didn't even know existed. This sort of strange roundabout route where I'm driving in the completely wrong side of Mississippi to drive again and then just make it just in time, because that was the moment that my ticket was released. The ticket that I was envisioning. Now, take this as a lesson that the route to your specific person, to your sum of money, to your career, is not a way that you could potentially guess. It is going to have twists and turns in it, and it is going to require you to be determined, to be focused, and to know your truth. You're going to be aligned with whatever inspired action comes from your truth. Inspired action is not something you sit around mulling over, wondering if you should do. Inspired action happens naturally through the beliefs you are having about yourself. This is who I am. I am this. I am this person's girlfriend. I am a multimillionaire. I am successful in this particular industry. I am this. That is what your inspired action is going to come from, and you're just going to naturally do it. You're not going to consider it. You're just going to be determined that this is your path, and you're going to follow the leads. And the universe is going to get you there at the exact right moment, when the exact thing opens up that you need to have open up in order to get you to the result. Now, I hope this video could help inspire you. Again, this is one of my most favorite memories. because I was in the exact right and perfect time at every single moment during that, unknowingly. But I just knew in my heart what I wanted to have accomplished from the evening and what I believed to be true. And that's exactly what was delivered to me. I am Veronica. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope this could help. Email me at veronicaisles@gmail.com, my website where you can get one-on-one coaching, veronicaisles.com. I do have an Instagram, Veronica Isles. 5 ebooks available on Amazon. And please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'm wishing you all the success in the world.